protection, but the entire dimension changed of my looking into the ecosystem. And it was in 2009 when a storm happened there, Ayla. And I will take you through a photographic journey because there will be a lot of presentations, so you can understand the area where we are working, the people, and what needs to be done, what needs to be understood as conservation practitioners when we are working in such landscapes. So this was 2009, and a huge storm cyclone happened, and it wrecked Sundarbans. And now it is happening every year, twice. That time it was 170 kilometers per hour. Last 3 consecutive years, we had cyclones of 265 kilometers per hour. And you know the reasons why. The climate, it's a Bay of Bengal, the depression areas, and it's creating a lot of damages to the ecosystem, the people, and we all have to understand that. So you see the islands are like turtle back, and they are protected from daily tidal surges by embankments, which are crucial. We say the lifeline for the people of the Sundarban. But they're earthen. It's a huge hydrological system. You cannot concretize the banks. And so it happens like that. Previously, how it was like, you see the mangrove on the other side, and when habitation happened, we had cleared the mangroves. And there are aquaculture ponds, habitation reclamations have been done, and this is the damage that we have done. The entire Kolkata city, only 100 kilometers from here with a huge population, the entire southern part of West Bengal was all protected by these mangroves. This is the nature solution of protecting the areas, the terrestrial ecosystems. The transition zone from the marine to the terrestrial ecosystem is this delta. So we cleared all this, and this is what we happened to see that time. So there were huge areas, mangroves were cleared, there were a lot of activities happening. It is a naturally regenerating area of mangroves, but it was not happening because there was a lot of anthropogenic pressure on that area. And this was the areas which were all blank. So what we did, that vulnerable embankments, we understood that can be only protected by the mangroves, and we took up the strategy of scaling up mangrove restoration, involve the local communities, and include the policy level discussions so that these are mainstreamed in the developmental agendas. It was a perfect nature-based solution. I, working as an ecosystem practitioner, like to talk about that a lot. But when we started the work, by default, we saw that women came in large numbers. And because why? We were thinking why it happened. Because after the cyclone, there was saline inundation everywhere. Agriculture was lost. And so men had migrated outside. So these women came to us when we were having meetings in the local villages. Many of them, so they came us, and there was also cash dearth because men had migrated outside, and there were only women, children, and senior people who were staying, and the women were guarding them. So it was a very vulnerable situation for them. And we know that we were very skeptical because will it function in this way? Because it was way 2009, and because men and women, I don't know, I know it's in almost everywhere in the world, but in Indian society, we have different roles as genders in the societal participation, and compared with women, compared with the men, the women are frequently disadvantaged in these respects. For a range of, we have the cultural, social, the norms that we have, that these are not for you, these are for you. So we were a bit skeptical that will it work? And yet, we constitute half of the population, but still these are prevalent. So when we had a very strong interface, like science, community, and policy interfaces, but I would stress on the community part, talking on the cue of the Richards, that what exactly needs to be done. It's not moving. Okay. Okay. So you see what the women were doing that time in the Sundarban. They are doing still now, but in a reduced state. So they are collecting the fuel wood. I think it's everywhere the same. They were collecting the prawn larvae. You can see those nets on the rivers. the social norms. Men were mostly engaged in planting. The nurseries were made by men who used to make the nurseries in huge ways, while women mainly take care of the products for subsistence use, such as the food, medicines, fuel wood. The distribution of labor considered such activities hazardous for women, and also the social taboos. But for us, it had a lot of opportunities too. The mobilization, because we understood that where we are working on the embankments, the women are actually living there. Their cattle are grazing on those mangrove plants. And this caring attitude of women over the nurseries, then scope the sustainable management, because they are always there. They are not migrating outside, they're not going anywhere. So constant lookout, the vigilance, all this helped us to engage deeply with them, and we said that, okay, let's go for it. And it was a journey. They collected seeds, they organized themselves into groups, they sowed the seeds in the nurseries. We had them all over, the women taking participation, and you can see on the right top, they are checking the root-shoot ratio in the nurseries to understand which grows faster, what to apply, and everything. So there was a lot of science, which based on the traditional knowledge we inculcated, integrated into this. There were planting saplings. You can see the Global Nature Fund logo there. So huge areas, mud flats, they are planting, they are growing, they are enjoying, and we found that no barriers existed. There was actually nothing hazardous. It was all social taboos. And they participated in huge ways, and this is what was created. So those blank lands were created by them in planting and ensuring that bioshield, which protected the villages. And this is the embankment you see now, the huge, the mangroves in front. And there you can see a bird watch tower, because the birds have started coming. The National Geographic had come and covered this. You can watch it in Ganga, the river from the skies, that how the green brigades are working. And this is the fun, the enjoyment, the pride that they take in doing all this. So this intertwined bonding, which we have to understand, the women has with nature, because the relationships between people and nature had changed a lot over a lot of human traveling developments, whatever we call. So a new culture, I would say, I felt it, that the reverential use and maintenance and preservation of these forests, and thus emerged the Green Brigades. I remember we first started our work with GNF in 2016, and that was the time we started working with this group. And in a meeting, in our language, Bengali language, when you call the elder sister, it's like Didi. So I was in the meeting and they said, Didi, we want a green sari. So I said, why? Why do you need a green sari? So said that because we are all housewives, we are protecting the village, we are going there, but the people don't understand. When we are going there for work, they will say, oh, take my child, please have a visit there. Okay, so I go very fast. So here come the Green Brigades, and you see all the things that they have done. So they are taking now to villages, the bird watchers. This is a very interesting story I would just like to tell about. They're negotiating with the irrigation department that the sandbars need to be there because the mangroves need to be there, and empowered women in full charge, making awareness campaigns, and this they have also translated in agri-horticulture, fisheries. They don't own the land, but they can prepare the basis, azolla cultivation. They are supporting their men into doing the right thing in the field because they understand now. You see, they're using tensiometer to control the water footprints. So they're using all this, the pH measurements, and the lessons learned is obvious. Katrina will tell. So you can read also, so not very time. So we feel that we do projects, but in order to translate into a program, we need sustainability, and women play a very important role in it. And I don't want to get into this. I just want to say this. This is a story whereby the women are being empowered to become leaders in the communities, and what we get is a protected mangrove ecosystem where all the kingfishers, the the turtle, river terrapin, the mangrove tiger is protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ajanta. I just want to give you a little insight. So when I chatted about the presentation, I said, you've got to keep it short. She says, I need 3 minutes. I just need 3 minutes. And then, of course, she got excited and passionate about what she's doing. And that's what Living Lakes is about. Katrina?
Sí, aprendimos que la restauración de manglares allá en los Sundarbans, en la India, es muy importante porque cada año hay muchas tormentas que destruyen esas áreas, ¿no? Y la participación de ambos géneros es importante para la conservación allá, pero hay un fuerte énfasis en las mujeres que juegan un rol importante allá, en las brigadas verdes, y es más sostenible cuando hay una participación de las mujeres porque hay más identidad, más valores y más respeto. Y eso lo que hace Achanta en ese proyecto.
Fantastic, thank you. Jacqueline, you're up. We've had Bolivia, we've had India, we're now heading through to Rwanda, and we've got a few more adventures ahead of us.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Ukamazina. I'm working for ARCOS. We are talking about the topic in terms of the successful models of cooperation between public and private. I am sharing now one of the experience we got last year, and it is ended last August, among others. I can start by saying that we are working for many lakes. Here I will talk about Lake Kivu, which is a transboundary lake between DRC, Republic Democratic of Congo, and Rwanda. It is not big like Lake Titicaca, but it is also big for us because it has the same superficie like Rwanda, only 27 square kilometers. And Rwanda, it is 26,000 square kilometers. You can understand that. For me, I consider the Lake Kivu as big than Lake Titicaca, and my heart is there to protect the lake. Our now experience in terms of the public and the private collaboration is the project we implemented for only 8 months last year. It was a project to see how we can integrate many things, but which will end by protecting the Lake Kivu, but consider also the livelihoods of communities. Let's talk maybe briefly. We have now a new strategy, and everything we are doing now in ARCOS, they are under those 6 strategies. I can say that one of the main is about biodiversity and ecosystem. The second one is the community, the well-being of communities. If we don't consider the well-being of communities, we will not talk about conservation, because we are among communities. If we don't consider what we are doing, we are one to destroy our nature. Secondly, the third one is about the education, our future leaders. We have a big problem now because when we were young, we were not aware about what we are facing now. But if we build the capacity of our young people, our students, they will be the good leaders, and they will help in conservation in the good way. However, we are considering also some challenges, the climate change. We have to do something, everything we can do, we have to consider the climate change. The fifth one is the sustainable agriculture. What we are doing in Africa, we are doing the agriculture. Most of our population, they are doing agriculture. They are living because of agriculture. But how they are doing things, the practices, if we don't care about our soil, our nature, it is destroying our lakes. The last one, it is the green development. Now, all of us here, we are talking about green development. But how is done? Think about what we are doing. If we are in our business, everyone will say, he's doing in his business in greening way. But as conservationists, we have to help them to do better than they are doing, because sometimes the business people, they are thinking about benefit. That is why we have those 6 strategic areas in our course for these coming 10 years. Now, let's come back on my Lake Kivu, on my heart of conservation. We have many problems, but there are some problems we cannot give a direct solutions. For example, now there is exploration of the methane gas, but as organization, what you can do, it is the soft contribution, the advocacy. But on that, we didn't touch this challenge in this project. We tried to solve some problem of erosion because it is also a mountainous lake. And it has a big problem of erosion because of the uphills practices. And also, as I said, unsustainable agriculture. And also, we have some disturbance of ecosystem functions and services. But also, we think about climate change because of biodiversity loss, siltation and dryouts of some tributaries, and food insecurity. How we face the problems? We have an approach. Let's say in that successful model, we have as private or NGO, we have to define who we are, and also define our strategy, define our niche. That is why in our course we have the approach, which is the best approach. It is the best approach we are using when we are working with communities, where we are working in Albertine Rift. For B, it is about to build the capacity of our communities and stakeholders, to help them to understand how they can manage their business, capacity building, trainings in terms of reporting, accountability, everything, and even gender, even inclusiveness and transparency. About E, it is what we are doing every day for us, the environment. Whatever we do, we take care about environment, energy, water, biodiversity, everything, it is under E. So we have to think about the solutions for our communities, which can make even income in terms of money. And the last one, it is the complicated one. What we are doing, what I am doing, someone of you can know it and apply it where he is, transforming others. That is a big problem, but we have to achieve everything, to define who you are and the strategy and the approach. How we applied this in these projects. On environment, we did some activities with our communities, and we restored about 31,000 hectares by tree planting, by terraces, and everything related to terraces restoration. And we also provided some varieties of vegetables. Why? Because there is a big problem of food security in Rwanda. We help them in terms of food security and also fruit trees. We give also the livestock because not income, but because of organic manure. Why? Because the lake is suffering of the fertilizers they are using. We promoted also some green sustainable use of water by promoting the gravity water irrigation up hills. And also we gave some clean energy by giving the cooking stove. I can say that it was a transboundary project. It was a transboundary project, and in DRC part, it is John who helped us to implement activities in DRC part. This is also an example of successful partnership between NGOs. I can finish this presentation by saying that alone you can achieve less, but together we can achieve more. Do you believe on that? Who believe it? Thank you very much. Secondly and the last. As I said, we have to define who we are. We have to have strategy to communicate what we are doing, even the accountability, report to our line ministries because they are the public. When we are accountable to our line ministries, they are the one to also communicate what we are doing to the private institutions, and the private institutions, they will give us money to implement what we want to implement and achieve more. Try to build good partnership and also try to identify good partners. Those are key points we have to consider in our implementation of activities. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie.
Lo que hace Jacqueline en el lago Kivu es, hay unas áreas estratégicas que quieren seguir, es la biodiversidad y ecosistemas, incluir las comunidades, la educación, la agricultura sostenible y el desarrollo verde. Como siempre hay unos retos como el cambio climático, la pérdida de biodiversidad, pero con soluciones en el enfoque BEST, construyen capacidades para las comunidades y estratégicas sostenibles. Y pues hay un trabajo entre las ONGs y las instituciones privadas que fue muy bien y que juntos se puede implementar un proyecto exitoso.
Thank you very much. All right, Mechthild, you're up. Mechthild is going to do a short summary at the end of her presentation herself. Thank you.
Bueno, aprovecho y agradezco a todos los organizadores, a todas las personas que están a veces no visibles y que hicieron posible que estamos todos acá. I just would like to thank all of the persons, some of them we never get to see because they are behind the curtains. They make it possible that we can meet here, and again, a very warm and thank you. So, yeah, please. So my presentation is in Spanish, so I will switch between Spanish and English. And here you have a beautiful view over the ocean, and I'm giving you like a very short summary of what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about two migratory bird species. What do they have to do with my foundation, which is called Fundación Lagunas Costeras in Uruguay? The NMBCA, which is the Neotropical Migratory Bird Conservation Act, and then I will talk about what means cooperation. In our case, it means to build a network of cattle farmers around 5 lagoons that we have in Uruguay. And last, I will share with you our lessons learned. So, como lo acabo de explicar en inglés, la mayoría de mis puntos importantes están en español, entonces eso es el contenido de la presentación y si después tendrán alguna pregunta, bueno, pueden hacerlo también. So, this is our star. Because this connects me with Ajonta. Ajonta mentioned it's very important, the bonding. It's important to have a relationship with nature and to have this connection. So for us, it's this little bird. It's called Plajarito canela in Espanol. At least in my region, you know, local names are different. So you have here the Spanish name and the Latin denomination as well. Bueno, nuestra estrella de nuestro proyecto es el Plajarito canela y también el cholo pampa. Tenemos estas dos especies que son muy importantes en este caso para formar una red de productores ganaderos alrededor de 5 lagunas en Uruguay. So this is the second star. It's the American golden plover, and this is the other species that is the key species that we are protecting in our project. So why are they our key species, and why are they important for us? Because one of the pressure that we have around the lake is cattle farming. But these two little birds actually need the cattle because they need a certain height of the grass. So we found out if we do the management correctly, grazing at certain times and then other times no, we can actually make it possible that they really like our habitat. Bueno, esos dos especies conviven con el ganado y necesitan el ganado. Quizás es importante mencionar el ganado es como una presión alrededor de las lagunas. Tenemos el tema que las lagunas, el especio de agua varía durante el año y algunos de los productores consideran parte de que es en realidad el humedal para su producción. Entonces a veces eso lleva así, bueno, desafíos, conflictos. Entonces estamos viendo cómo podemos trabajar en conjunto. Y justo estos dos especies necesitan el ganado porque hay momentos en donde necesitan el pasto muy corto. So I just explained the same in Spanish. So these species need a certain height of the grass to be able to actually make use of the habitat. So I don't want to go into this because of shortage of time, but you can see this is where we, actually I was missing a picture, let me see. Okay, no, so this is where they reproducing, then they have the migration, and it's important that they have our habitat as we call them, as their time to actually rest. Eso nosotros cuando explicamos, por ejemplo, a niños, siempre explicamos, nuestros hábitats son como sus estaciones de servicio, necesitan esos lugares de descanso, y por eso en nuestro proyecto estamos apoyados por esa ley que mencionaba antes para que puedan en nuestro lugar descansar. Eso es una foto de cómo se ven nuestras lagunas. Tienen mucho pasto, tienen también la presión de, ven algunos bosques de eucaliptos, pero básicamente es una pradera. So you have an overview what our wetlands look like. We have some pressure of eucalyptus planting, but usually it's a wetland and it's a grassland. So here I'm showing you, which is what we are using for our project. It's a grant, that's a Neotropical Migratory Bird Conservation Act grant. And since we're talking about cooperation, I would like to ask Barshley Miller and Jeff McQuilkin that they just get up so that you can see who else is working with this kind of support. They work with Argentina, the Fundación de Líderes de Nusa, and in Mar Chiquita in Argentina. And I asked them to get up because this is about networking. We are here about to get to know other experiences. So don't only talk to me, talk about their projects and get more information as well. It's not that we are expert about this, but the idea is that we share our experiences, that we share how it is possible, and especially with this network, I think it's very valuable for us because most of our places have birds. So Monument Center, which actually manages lots of these grants, it's in the United States and works in with a reserve network, and Mono Lake Committee has a reserve there. And actually one of our goals of our project is to maybe become a reserve as well. Bueno, acabo de explicar, estos dos señores vienen del Mono Lake Committee y también tienen el conocimiento sobre esa ley y sobre esa manera de poder obtener financiamiento. Y creo que es importante que nosotros hacemos mucho eso de ese networking. Estamos acá para formar una red y realmente vivir esa red. Por eso es la invitación no solo a hablar conmigo o con estos 5, sino también con gente que está también en la misma. Y bueno, las aves en realidad nos conectan a todos. Bueno, acá tenemos una vista de donde trabajamos nosotros de la fundación y los objetivos del proyecto. Entonces, como mencioné antes, es como articular con los productores agropecuarios en un área que conforma aproximadamente 1 millón de hectáreas. So this is an overview about the lagoons that we work with. It's 5 lagoons and the area is about 1 million hectares. So here we have a picture of our team. I'm not going into details, but what was important for me, and this connects as well with what Richard mentioned. He mentioned time, but we don't only need time. We need as well people, and we need not the correct people, but we need people with a very varied background. If you see, we have 3 persons, including me, that actually work on what we called social facilitation. So it's very important, especially in this case, we are building 2 networks. One is with the cattle farmers, and another network is about citizen sciences. So we actually need people skills. So we have biologists, obviously, but we need people skills. So this was why I wanted to show you our team. Bueno, es una vista de nuestro equipo. Mencioné que es muy importante tener una variedad de personas y de experiencias. Y en nuestro caso, como estamos conformando 2 redes, una red de productores ganaderos y una red de ciencia científica, ciencia ciudadana, es muy importante tener esas habilidades diferentes. Bueno, muchas veces vemos a los productores como desafíos o como problemas. Bueno, en este caso nosotros en realidad es algo que mencionó también Jacqueline, que es muy importante tomar esos conocimientos de la gente y valorarlos, y eso estamos haciendo. So this connects with what Jacqueline just said. It's important to work with all stakeholders, and in this case we work with the cattle farmers and we appreciate their knowledge. It's not that we see things as a problem or what Richard said. We have to stick to what exists. We have to accept reality, so we have to work around and together. So for us, it's important to give them opportunities. So within this project, we are generating actually other opportunities for them. We are generating other funds. So in the case of the farmers, we were able to apply for other funds so that they got more money. Para nosotros es importante generar también otras oportunidades. En ese caso, pudimos lograr otros fondos para que los productores pudieran obtener otros fondos para trabajos que es necesario para hacer. Esos son los logos del proyecto y ya conformamos la red de productores y tenemos una red de observadores de aves playeras. Y como yo mencioné antes, está la idea de obtener la declaración del sitio RAP. So we already were, this project is already very happy. It's now going to get in the second phase. We finished the first phase and managed to have this network of, and this is a very key word, of proud cattle farmers. They are proud to be in this network. They really, they also participate in what we now set up as well, which is a network of bird watchers. They form part of this. So we made this link in between two former separate groups. So for us, this is very important. And another goal that we still are perceiving is to maybe become a Western Hemisphere shorebird reserve network. So thank you, and if you have any questions, please get into contact.
Thank you very much, Mechthild. Amy, you're up. Whilst Amy walks up, I just want to point out that I've known her for 20 years, and she still hasn't grown up. But also there's a very strong English saying that says that dynamite comes in small packages. So I made sure she walked away from me when I chirped her. So.
Thank you, Andrew. Actually, that's not entirely true. When I started here, I was like 5'6", but too much work, so now I'm only 4'10". So good morning, everyone. I would like to thank first the GNF and of course the local organizers for finally staging this very important and timely conference. So I will be sharing with you, see if I stand here you can see me. Okay. I will be sharing with you the clear story or our journey, our Living Lakes journey. Let me see if I can get this right. Okay, but first of all, let me start with introducing our lake, the member of the Living Lakes here. It is called Laguna de Bay. It is the largest inland body of water in the Philippines and a major lifeline for the communities residing in its watershed, including metropolitan Manila. The lake region has about 16 million people. And being a multiple-use resource, the lake is an indispensable source of water for fishing, irrigation, power supply, recreation, navigation, and domestic use. Development activities in its vast watershed continue to exert pressure on the ecological integrity of the lake. Okay, so our journey actually started here when we were approached by two entities, the Laguna Lake Development Authority, that's the Lake Authority, and Unilever Philippines in 2001. Apparently, they applied for membership of Laguna de Bay into the network, and they were not accepted because they did not have an NGO partner. So they talked to us, and we were then just a 3-year-old NGO, and in 2001, this was in 2001 in June, we signed a memorandum of agreement among the three of us. We called it a tripartite agreement, three-way agreement between three entities. And in August of that year, barely just 3 months after, we were accepted as a member of the Living Lakes Network. And as such, since we are the NGO partner, we act as the voting member, and we also administer the secretariat for the partnership. So that's the story. Now, since we now have a partnership, we needed to come up, of course, with a program. But let me introduce to you the partners. The Laguna Lake Development Authority is the government authority in charge of administering the management of the lake. We are the NGO partner. And the Unilever Philippines, I'm sure you're familiar with Unilever. You know, they produce shampoo and Lipton iced tea, those things. Okay, so those are the three members of the tripartite partnership. So our general objective was really very simple at the time. We just wanted to safeguard the ecological integrity of the lake. And specifically, just in very simple terms, just to come up with unified efforts in the conservation of the lake. And we used CLEAR. The name of the partnership is CLEAR, meaning conservation of Laguna de Bai's environment and resources. So we used CLEAR as the platform for collaboration among the three partners in achieving their common goals. It had been said earlier that, you know, when we have partnerships, for example, you have three partners, you just don't have 1 + 1 + 1 = 3, but because of synergy, it becomes more than 3, right? Okay, so the CLEAR program was responsible for the acceptance of course, of the Laguna de Bay in the network. And yeah, as I was saying, we just wanted to spearhead and organize a united effort to conserve the lake and its resources. So what we did was we did a mapping of initiatives of all the initiatives that were being conducted in the lake at the time by all entities. And that was the basis for our CLEAR program, and this is our main strategy. We decided that we will focus on what we adopted also from Ramsar, the SIPA program, which is communication, capacity building, education, participation, and awareness. And we targeted high school students as the target group for our efforts. We only focused on two major initiatives, or two major activities. One is the CLEAR Youth Ecological Camps, and the other one is the CLEAR Youth Network Congress. I will explain it very briefly. Okay, so the CLEAR Youth Ecological Camps is a 3-day experiential learning event that focuses on youth, mostly high schools, and their important role in wetland conservation. The curriculum consists of learning sessions. These are basic ecological principle lectures, field learning visits, visioning and action planning sessions, and implementation of school and community-based projects. Very recently, because of the World Food Program who approached us to use this platform for disaster risk reduction, so we have two sets of curricula, DRR and wetland conservation. So since 2003, when we started, we conducted 24 camps in 23 municipalities with 113 schools directly benefiting from it. For the past 2 years, we had been conducting just virtual sessions since actual face-to-face sessions were not allowed in schools. And we also published an ecological camp manual so that replication of the eco camp will be facilitated. So these are photos from the eco camps. And the CLEAR network, after 2 years of conducting eco camps, we decided to conduct a network congress, which is actually inspired by the Living Lakes Conference, because this is where the this is an annual meeting of the campers, where they share their progress on the projects that they're implementing and plan for the next year. Okay, so to date, the CLEAR Youth Network is composed of more than 1,000 high school students and young professionals that are expanded from the core group of campers who continues to take action in protecting the environment. Not just on the lake, but some of them are already working abroad, and they are already, in fact, spearheading conservation efforts. We also have a Facebook group that connects the CLEAR Youth Network through these social network facilities. So this enables them to keep touch as to what they are doing about their projects, which are community-based. Okay, we also have training of trainers and community meetings, and these are the tasking among the partners. LLDA provides funds for food and accommodation. We do the coordination and the conduct of the eco camp. Unilever provides funds for the Secretariat until 2015 and for the Youth Congress. The local government units take care of transporting the campers during field work, and the high schools help with the selection and coordination of participants, and also for sustaining the activities that are started by during the eco camps. So creating impacts through partnerships, and aside from helping, of course, conserve the lake, we also, the CLEAR helps each of the partners achieve their own individual goals. For example, LLDA helps, the CLEAR helps in achieving the vision of LLDA particularly in complementing the task of their community development division. In other words, we synergize with the mandate of the partner so that we sort of promote whatever they are doing and help increase their visibility. For Unilever Philippines, the CLEAR contributes to implementing the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, including circular economy. And for us in the society, this is one of our main strategies, and in fact, contribute to these outcomes. Okay, so the outcomes would be the Clear Youth Network has been an effective platform for active exchange of information among students, teachers, wetland practitioners, etc. And it has empowered the youth to become an important community actor in wetland conservation and disaster risk reduction management and preparedness, and institutionalization in certain communities, broaden the support of CLEAR by soliciting support of local industries in lake conservation efforts. And the results of the eco camps had been outstanding based on the survey conducted among campers in 2016. I will not go into that, but these are the challenges that we faced. We, of course, had administrative policy changes among partners, political dynamics in every community, the COVID-19 restrictions, and unfortunate events during eco camps, such as, some people get sick during camps, etc. And these are our replicability tips. We believe that we should incentivize partnerships. This doesn't mean you have to give money, but at least the responsibilities and benefits should be clear to partners so that they know what they are getting into. Provide communication opportunities for all sectors, not just for the corporate sector. Let your partners speak for you and about you, so be a good partner. And create a space for participation from all sectors. And engage, and engage. Okay. So conclusion, just 1 minute. The CLEAR partnership has proven to be a simple, effective, and replicable model for collaboration on wetland conservation in the Philippines. It has raised the profile of all three partners in terms of their roles and commitment to wetland conservation. This has been translated into confidence and trust in other sectors of society to be part of this program. So in celebration of its 20th year as partners next year, the CLEAR program will be reviewed in 2023 by a third-party entity to further ensure that the relevance of the program is ensured. And we are seeking more partners, and it has expanded the reach of the society and helped in leveraging funds for each activities. So just to show you from a pledging organization in 2001, we now have this as partners, the government agencies, local government units, academe, private sector, civil society, international organizations. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
La asociación que explicó Amy tiene tres miembros: UNILIPA, Filipinas, la sociedad y las autoridades administrativas. El objetivo era mantener la integridad ecológica en la laguna de Bay, y el foco era en la comunicación, fortalecer la capacidad, especialmente entre los jóvenes, la educación, participación y la conciencia. Esa asociación era simple, efectivo y fácil a replicar para la conservación de los humedales, y funcionó muy bien en las Filipinas, y con este perfil todas las organizaciones se han fortaleciendo, y así era más fácil también recibir fondos.
That's great. Thank you. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to move to the front here. We're going to have a panel. I'm going to ask, I know the ladies are desperate to give the speakers their gifts, but they haven't finished working for their gifts yet, so they can't get them yet. So they can just wait a little bit longer. Should you just translate that for the ladies, just to hold. They mustn't give the gifts yet. I don't worry.
Also.
Cool. Okay. Right, let's move over here, guys. Okay, and while we're moving, I'm looking for questions from the audience. Yeah, but just if it's Spanish. Just wait. Someone's got to have a question. Otherwise, Marian, I'm going to pick on you to get going. No. You're too early. There has to be somebody else with a question. Okay. Let's start here. Have we got another mic for the bottom? Yeah. Thank you. Or not? Have we only got the one? That's fine.
Okay, thank you so much. One question goes to Richard for his impressive presentation. But I would like to know the mining, these miners, are they individual or they are companies? That is one. Then two, I would also like to know, compared to what you have presented to my country, because these artisans or the individual miners suffer a lot. Government always don't support them. How is it here in Bolivia? And then another one is also going to my sister, Jacqueline. Very good presentation, and what you presented, almost the same. The challenges and the so forth are the same. But I would like also to know these farmers, especially, I know those people who live around the lake, they are the poor. But apart from capacity building and so forth, is there some physical things like money, like any support apart from training and so forth? Because always, as civil society organizations, we concentrate on training, support, capacity building and so forth. So many terminologies you are using. But when it comes to support those farmers, they need some small fund to support them and so forth. And they say, we have done our work. Next, it will be up to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I always feel more important when I got one of these on. Just saying. There, Richard, yours.
You are. Regarding the question, thank you. These miners are cooperatives, meaning that is a kind of a jointly owned company under Bolivian law. They are also considered being a social organization somehow, because they do not follow exactly all these cooperative principles. But the problem in Bolivia is more complex. In a lot of areas, the cooperatives work, and they are like a shield for foreign companies. So they put the money in the machinery, etc. Because the cooperatives don't pay very, very low taxes. They get subsidized inputs from the government, etc. No, and they got the mining licenses. But in the back, there's, for example, Chinese companies, etc. No, not in this region, but for example in the Amazon. So the profit goes to another country. The Bolivians are doing the dirty work, no? And of course they're all jeopardizing their own health, because we all suffer from mercury poisoning, but the ones who most suffer are the same miners.
Thank you, John, for the question. John is from Uganda. That is why he's saying that the challenges and the problems we are meeting in Rwanda is the same in Uganda. I can say that during my presentation, I say that under BEST, it is only B where we are doing the capacity building, where we put the farmers in Friends of Nature associations in groups for better monitoring and better communication between us and them, and also the local leaders. Because before starting any activities on ground, we form them in groups, in those associations, and we sign a sustainability agreement. And in the sustainability agreements, we commit what we support directly to them, and them, they also commit what they will do, how they will sustain what we will provide to them. We consider their livelihoods. That is why in that projects with Nexus projects, we gave them the livestock, we gave them the cooking stoves, We gave them those terraces, and also we even put in place a market where they will sell those vegetables because they cannot rely only on the fishing. And we implement that project in partnership with the government of DRC and the government of Rwanda with support of GIZ through GIZ, but from BMZ, and also with communities and the local leaders. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Right, more questions? Marion, I'll come to you just now. Yes, Daniel? Daniel, ideally for one of the other three speakers, please. Choose somebody else.
Because my question is still going to Bolivia.
Okay, last time, no.
Yeah, so I wanted just to understand, because according to your answer that you have provided to my colleague who raised the question about who is responsible with this mining, it looks like the responsible institutions that are doing the mining or individuals that are doing the mining, they are legalized because they are licensed. So I was just interested to understand if before the licensing, there are any form of regulations which they are supposed to commit to, such as the environmental impact regulations, and if there is any form of environmental audit that is done, environmental impact audit by the government or by the civil society, and what are you doing about it as a civil society to make sure that they follow the standards, if at all there are any laws. Thank you.
Trustee Mark Carrier.
So at least one stays in good shape running. I think that is a good question because it shows the big gap between what is how the system is supposed to work and how it really works. No? Of course, in Bolivia, there's environmental regulations. Of course, there's mining concessions you get. No? Sometimes contradictive. You can get a mining concession in a protected area where indigenous people are living. And you can also have indigenous people doing mining because they somehow need to survive, and that might be the only thing they can do. No? So yes, there are regulations. Yes, of course, there are ways around it. And it's very, very difficult for the government to control all this. No? Because it's very remote areas. I don't know, you've been around like, 12 hours yesterday, no? On a good road, no? And when you go up this watershed, for example, there's no good roads, no? And if you are a government official sitting in La Paz, you don't even have the means of transport to get there, no? So you might have some work with the local government, but it's very, very difficult, no? And of course, it is, there's also pressure, no? I know, for example, members of local governments who receive death threats because of they are against the mining activities, no? So this is all part of Bolivian reality, and I think this is shared with a lot of other countries, no? So what you need to do is start talking, start engaging, and trying to get a compromise which works, a commitment which works beyond what is legally established, because if the government is not able to impose and control its own regulations, then you need to find something else at least to mitigate the environmental damage, no?
Great, thank you very much. Right, now we're looking for a Spanish question. So, geez, that was, thank you, Amanda. But for one of the other three, right?
No estaba pensado ni planificado. ¿La hago en español entonces la pregunta o en inglés? Okay, I can translate it. For Maithkil, the question is about incentives or payment for ecosystem services with the farmers you are working with. Mi pregunta es sobre incentivos o pagos por servicios de los ecosistemas con la red de ganaderos con la que estáis trabajando, si lo planteáis en un futuro, si pensáis que puede ser una forma de crear un vínculo que comprometa de alguna forma las buenas prácticas de gestión de esos ganaderos para conseguir los resultados que buscáis de conservación. I translate or no?
Bechtel will answer. She can do it in Chinese as well.
Gracias, Amanda. En verdad, estamos apoyando a esa red, a esa nueva red que estamos generando, en el sentido que comparten el conocimiento y estamos dándole el espacio, decimos, estamos valorando su trabajo. La idea no es especialmente hacer un pago por el ecosistema, sino más bien generándoles otras oportunidades. Entonces ya hay otros llamados, por ejemplo, que a veces no se enteran del Ministerio de Ganadería y entonces estamos haciendo ese vínculo para fortalecer las capacidades de esos. Porque la idea es justo, porque si ofreceríamos algo así, sea otra manera de dependencia de alguna manera. Así es generar capacidades para que ellos puedan fortalecer su misma red. Eso es la idea atrás. Amanda was asking, well, she already put the question in English, so we are actually not thinking of a payment for the ecosystem services, but we are strengthening their network, we are strengthening the capacities so that they can apply, for example, for other funds, so that they are then self-sufficient, because otherwise we think we would generate another dependency on an ecosystem payment, which we actually don't want to strive for. We would like them to become strong themselves as a network.
Thank you very much. Right, we're looking for a question for Ajanta and for Amy. No, Marion's got one in her purse, so she's waiting. Come on, from the audience. Somebody. Thank you, Anne.
Hi, Amy. You've got so much experience, so many years. I just want to hear what's the biggest challenges to get into these partnerships, because you had so much of them listed there. Like, it's mind-blowing. I'm like a bit... so I'd like to hear more about lessons learned. Like, what was the key things that you've learned to be able to engage with all these great partnerships you've got?
In Spanish, please.
Game over. Well, actually, modesty aside, it must be, you see, and I started working for the government. I moved to international organization before I became an NGO. So there was really such a huge network that we can extract from. And having the Clear network as a platform, it sort of gave us this tool or a mechanism that they can immediately join. You know, there's no complication because we don't have to have memo of agreement with everyone. It's just that when they look at the programs that we do, they contact us. We have a very good website, by the way, as a sort of advertisement. And because of that, we get a lot of calls and even approaching us and offering us, you won't believe this, offering us funds to work with them. So I think one of the main factors why we don't have much difficulty in getting into partnerships is the credibility that we have built over the years. We try to be very good partners. We deliver what we promise and more. And we really love what we do.
I'll just give you another insight. So I was sitting with Amy in the bus yesterday, so I asked her about the fundraising and how it's going. She says she writes lots of proposals. She spends all her time writing proposals. And I said, is she the only one that writes proposals? She said, there's another 3 people that she has that write proposals. So the message around partnerships and raising funding is you got to work at it. If you don't work at it, you might have a great website and some people contact you, but generally that's not the case. Marion, you've got a question for Jackie for us, please.
Yes, a question for Chanta, but also for Amy, because
And for Jackie.
No, I have a question for Janta and for Jackie and for Amy, because it is about planning of a partnership, because we all believe in public-private partnerships, but I know also that everybody needs to play a certain role, so you need a planning behind since the beginning. And I would like to listen from you what was important for you to start planning the partnership. And the second question regarding monitoring. How do you monitor the positive impacts of these partnerships? So estoy preguntando referente al planeamiento, al inicio de las colaboraciones de organizaciones públicos privados que hay que tener en cuenta a planificar una relación pública-privada y cómo monitorear los efectos positivos.
I'm giving this to you, Jackie.
Thank you, President, for this honor to respond to these questions. I would like to share our experience in terms of public-private partnership. First of all, the key point, as I said, is to define our niche and to know who we are. Sometimes when you don't know who you are, it is not easy to market what you are doing. Second is to identify the good partner, because those business people sometimes they have their orientation, and when you don't know where you want to go, they deviate you. Another aspect is the accountability. As Amy said, we have to be to report to our line ministry, and then to meet them, to try to find the opportunities to meet our partners, and also report what we are doing. Every year in Rwanda it's good because we have a good collaboration with the government. We give the plan every year to the government, government Rwandan board, governance Rwandan board. We give the plan, even including the donors and even the funds, and even if there is a new agreement with the donor, we give them to the government. When it comes to the end of the year, we report. Before to report to the Rwanda Governance Board, we report to our line ministry. Then when a business person come or company, they pass to the government. When you are accountable, it is the government to identify the key partners the private sector can work with. Some projects we don't do even the private sector, they don't do the call for proposals. They pass through those partners we ignore sometimes, those public partners. And they pass through them, they identify key partners. And when you are credible and also accountable to the public, they identify you, they give the list of the NGOs who can implement. It is our case on, for example, on carbon projects that we are implementing and the newcomers projects. I can say that that are some tips I can give to my colleagues here. She asked also about monitoring, how we monitor a good partnership or the success or the impact. We have what we call MIS, Monitoring Information System. where all data are generated. And now even what we are doing, we are sharing with the government, the Ministry of Environment, and now they are adopting this that system. What we are doing, it is public now. If I can share with you the link, you can even see how many trees we planted last year, how many hectares, how many communities we engaged. Last year we engaged almost 25,000 communities. And also even the mortality rate. For the tree planting, we have these MIS, but so far we are improving in terms of community livelihoods. We are improving the channel of communication of what we are doing. I can say more, but those are the key. Thank you.
I'm going to try and take another question from the floor first. Let's just see. Is there any other questions from the floor? Anybody else got anything they'd like to share? Okay, that's great. Thank you. This is probably for you.
Gracias, buenos días. La pregunta es para la tercera panelista y es respecto a cuáles cree que son los desafíos que tenemos para poder consolidar una participación activa de las mujeres en la gestión de las cuencas transfronterizas, y no solo de las mujeres, sino de otras poblaciones vulnerables como los pueblos indígenas. In English would be, what would you think that the major challenges are regarding the participation of women in transboundary water management, and also towards other communities such as indigenous population? Gracias.
Fantastic question. Thank you.
Thank you. I will answer it in English. The thing is that when you talk about a transboundary management, water management, there are various layers in it, because there's multi-stakeholder engagements which are required from the, as you have said, from the local communities to the scientific level, to the policy levels. So at every level, we have to identify the right partners, as we are all talking about, and who are really engaged, who are really wanting to have these on board, and create institutional structures for that. Because just workshops may be the initial point, but maybe working groups. We are working on these very important in the Bangladesh Transboundary Project, and we are having working groups at various levels, because transboundary water management requires a lot of different facets to it, which is related to maybe biodiversity, which may be related to livelihood, and each has its own sectoral requirements. So the working groups may lead certain working groups which are important to the transboundary water management, which you feel are important to handle, and both the countries are ready to participate in it. That's also very important, that we are on an agreed board, like agreed conclusions, that we will be working on these factors, because as we know, there are many things that needs to be addressed, and identify the working groups that can really contribute to these agendas. Then it becomes easier. Otherwise, we are lost in so many challenges. And I feel that each these working groups with definite skills, knowledge sets that comes, has something to contribute. And then at a level, at the board level, maybe a monitoring or reviewing committee or transboundary management committee can take the recommendations from all these working groups to make it happen.
Ajanta, can I just pick up, there is a very specific point around women, around that.
Okay.
And what I want to understand, and I think is, do women have a role to play in this? Should the boards just be male because they take good decisions? Because it sounds to me as if that's what it is. Let the women do the work on the ground and let the men take the decisions.
No, 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 of course not, because I was telling you in my presentations, I stressed on the local communities because we are always working on sustenance. We are really worried about the sustenance of projects, and even if there are policies, even if there is science, knowledge behind it, the projects sometimes do not sustain because the local communities have not adopted it. So I stressed just one part of it. You have wonderful lady, women. So what I wanted to say about this women inclusion is the long-term sustenance. Because as part of the way we are placed in the society, we look into the nitty-gritties, this, that, all that things that matters. And I'm not telling the male gender, do not look at it. But they are more on the, the overall perspectives. So these matters very important when you are having a transboundary management, because there are a lot of internal conflicts that happen when you have these dialogues. And women play a very, very important role in handling those internal conflicts and dialogues, making, those sort of soft discussions that help to mitigate these conflicts. I think I have experienced that as my role in many cases, that the softness, that we bring it onto the board helps to resolve a lot of conflicts, which otherwise becomes very difficult to handle.
Fantastic. So, go for it. Let's each person can get one. The last comments, closing comments.
Ok, voy a hablar en español, porque la pregunta ha sido en español. Yo creo que una de las cosas muy importantes, no solamente en transfronterizo, es el empoderamiento de los grupos con que estamos trabajando. O sea, no hay verdadera participación si no hay empoderamiento. ¿Qué significa eso? Es que la población local tiene mucho conocimiento local, pero no conoce los mecanismos, cómo funciona la gobernanza, cómo estoy en una reunión con un ministerio, ¿no? ¿Cómo me articulo? ¿Cuáles son mis derechos? Y yo creo que es un proceso que es muy, muy importante para realmente garantizar que hay también sostenibilidad, porque sin empoderamiento tampoco hay sostenibilidad. Si el proyecto un día se retira o se concluye, esos actores tienen que seguir luchando por sus derechos, por poder articularse y también para poder proponer.
Can you quickly do that in English?
Oh, okay. Yes. I think one of the essential factors is empowerment of local groups. I think there is no sustainability without empowerment. Local people have a lot of knowledge about the management of resources. They have their own mechanisms on community level to resolve conflicts, but they do not know what is the legal situation, what are their rights, how do I behave in a meeting with the minister, and they need to learn that. And I think that is a very important role for the projects we are all executing, because one day our project is over and we still want these actors to be key actors in the field, may it be transboundary or just national or local.
Thank you, Richard. I think I just would like to follow on this, because what you mentioned actually has to do with time, which we usually don't have. But time makes this possible, this what you're saying, because we need time to be able to trust each other. This is what Amy mentioned as well. I mean, if we don't have the time, it's very difficult to work together. And I mean, you can set up goals that are in common, but actually we all change a little bit. So I think it's very, very important to not set or look for quick solutions. There may be some quick solutions, but let's think in longer terms, which often is difficult for us, I know, because some projects are short-term, but even if you have a short-term project, have like a long-term vision and see what you can reach within a short term so that you get to this long-term vision. So, Richard dijo que es muy importante empoderar a la gente. Y creo que eso, para eso precisamos tiempo, porque para empoderar a alguien precisamos tener la confianza se construye sobre tiempo. Entonces muchas veces nos falta ese tiempo porque tenemos proyectos de corto plazo, pero yo les quiero invitar para que cuando tengan proyectos aún con un corto plazo, que se dan una visión a largo plazo y que trabajen en esa función. Muchas gracias.
Everybody do close.
Okay. Regarding the public and private partnership, I just want to not repeat. I just want to say that what the public, the government departments has a bigger outreach. What they want from us is demonstrative, innovative projects that showcases some long-term, short-term also. Short-term vision, short-term some outputs, because they require these short-term outputs to have things on board. So demonstrative approaches that have short-term outputs with a long-term vision. Because what I understand is that when the government has this outreach, they don't have the penetration what the NGOs have, penetrating into really to make the difference, the transformations that Jacqueline was talking about. So that is constantly, we have to, like all we are doing, whatever we are doing, documenting it and showcase it in journals. That's what we are doing, scientific journals, publications, small video, everything, so that it reaches them, they understand it. And to the private, as we all know, investing in nature is very, very difficult. So we have to constantly showcase these works and also the business possibilities. We have to integrate the business possibilities with why they should invest in nature. Because water companies should invest in wetlands. Even the mining companies should invest in greening and protecting the waters also. So in this way, constantly, whoever food, beverages companies. So what is the future of the food? Food for biodiversity, because we are losing biodiversity more. Biodiversity action, we know that we are losing it more than, it is more vigorous than the climate action now. The extinction of the species is at the highest rate at present. So all these we have to constantly engage, as Amy said, dialogue. It's constantly dialoguing so that these interactions are open and we are able to showcase within our networks. A lot of wonderful works are happening as demonstrative actions that can be scaled up, is what I understand. And that's the way we work, because private, frankly, competing in very many big proposal writing, we have not succeeded much. It's always that the funding partners come and tell us that should you work with us. We are very fortunate to tell you that with the women, we have now 195 such women in 13 groups, and Chanel Foundation is working with us. We are building proposals with them. It's they who have come to us, not us. So we believe in visibility.
Right.
Thank you. I would like to come up on the challenges. One challenge in civil society organizations, sometimes we don't keep the momentum. We have to think about, when we are growing, think about also how we can sustain what we are doing. Another aspect, it is not a challenge, but what we have to consider in our implementation, the local knowledge. Sometimes we come with our skills and we think that the communities don't have the knowledge, but we have to build on those knowledge, and then it will bring us at another level as the funds mobilizers. The last key message I can say is we have to also to change our way of working. We have to move as our development speed is. We have to consider all those aspects, the development agenda, the vision, the whatever, and adapt our activities, also our mission, our vision to those outside agenda. It is where we'll be in a good position. We have to positioning our activities in the global agenda. Thank you.
I would just like to say something about Marion's comment earlier on how you plan partnerships and monitoring impacts. First of all, I would just like to emphasize that from our end, we are a membership organization. So there are more than 150 of us active within and outside the country. And so that means that we have 150 sources of expertise and networks who bring in their expertise and networks in the platform. And so that really promotes the structuring of the network and the ease of partnerships. And in terms of monitoring impacts, as I was telling Andrew, we write a lot of proposals because we don't have endowments. We really compete for grants. And you know, grants, you really have to deliver, otherwise your next tranche will not be released. So on the short term, the monitoring is done along the project indicators. But in the long term, since we are a membership organization and we have a board that oversees, looks at what we are doing, make sure that value for money is delivered and the impacts that we promise to our partners are delivered. So we are very much into monitoring impacts. We even engage third-party consultants to look at how things are doing so that we just know whether we are on the right track and we are doing what we should be doing as we promised.
Fantastic, thank you. So I just wanted to round off just with a personal observation with the panel. First of all, amazing panel, thank you. But we were talking about partnerships, we're talking about collaboration. The common thread running through this group is a partnership at a grassroots. So we talk about we need government, we need donors, that's the language we often think when we talk partners, we usually go, who's our donors, okay? But not one of these interventions will live without the actual core partnership with the local government and schools, with the rural communities who are actually doing the work on the ground, with the army, the Green Sari army, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, with the cattle farmers on the ground whose behavior has changed and who are now buying into it, and with the artisanal the artisanal miners on the ground who are learning and changing. It's the impact with those partnerships is where the legacy will live. And we often forget that. We often get lost in the world of government departments, the donors. They come in for a short while. It's these partnerships on the ground. And actually, I don't think any of you realize how powerful those are, your stories are. Thank you very much. And Katerina, thank you. Much appreciated. She was very nervous. Really appreciate her help. Thank you. And now, I think they've earned their gifts, right? Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone. I think we're going to coffee now, huh? Tea break. And downstairs. Katerina, come, you can't run and hide. No, you want to.
Hola, hola. Para el coffee break